Tap into your inner power and focus it all into the middle of your back. Make it tingle, then push! You see? It's that simple.
The phrase back tingles gives most Dragon Ball fans severe migraines from just hearing it, and in my opinion this method of achieving Super Saiyan isn't so bad until you compare it to how the other Saiyans obtain the form with loss and hardship. What people forget though is that this isn't even the worst thing Caulifla did in relation to transformations, as I'll reveal later. However, the aim of this vid is to see if the fanbase's hate for her is unwarranted, or if her character as a whole is actually god awful to begin with, regardless of the back tingles. First things first, I need to mention what happens just minutes before the tournament. When Universe 7 arrives in a little friendship circle, they're greeted by none other than Cabba, who's delighted to see Vegeta again from the last tournament. The prince isn't fond of being called master, whilst Goku wonders who are those two other Saiyans behind him, so Cabba introduces them to Caulifla, being another fellow Saiyan. The only other female Saiyan Goku's seen is his mother, so of course he'd be intrigued, reaching his hand out to greet her, but I can't forgive her for what she does next. Caulifla replies by slapping Goku's hand out the way, and talks about how she's here to prove she's the multiverse's strongest, not to make new friends. If she simply left him hanging, I wouldn't bring this up, but to go the extra mile of slapping the handshake is the highest form of disrespect. Put me in Goku's shoes. The second the Zenos ring that bell, I'm slingshotting Caulifla hundreds of kilometers across the void like it's Angry Bird's space. Moving on, the Universe 6 Saiyan helps her friend Kale out by throwing out this one sumo wrestler overboard, and watching back over, I just think what could have been if Kale had a manga's personality, acting more confident in her abilities and having a proper valid reason for her closeness to Caulifla. Anywho, Caulifla suggests the next target should be Goku, who's currently duking it out with the Universe 2 Yodratian, and to get his attention, she kicks Jimizu off screen completely, having the nerve to ask our beloved hero to teach both her and Kale Super Saiyan Blue. It's bad enough we have a Super Saiyan bargain sale, but a blue bargain sale? If that were to happen, I'd call blue top 2 worse forms for undermining the divine transformation more than it already has in the anime. Goku quips back, affirming rookies like them couldn't handle such divine power, so to make him regret it, Caulifla tells her friend to transform already with the intent of performing a 2v1.
Make your back tingle and push!
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Yep, anime Kale's so inept she can't even achieve Super Saiyan the easy way out. Pretending she didn't see that, Caulifla unveils a different form to Goku by bulking up every single muscle in her twig-like body, and you guessed it, she's now become Super Caulifla, or Super Saiyan Grade 3, however you want to call it. Before she goes to fight, the Saiyan tells Kale to have belief in herself, and once the battle commences, Goku already knew this was lemon squeezy. Let's slow this down. Caulifla's opener gets easily parried by Goku, has her kicks dodged without a sweat, and when she continues with a couple more swings, our hero simply sidesteps, having a time of his life before lightly shoving Caulifla down to the floor. Being a veteran of martial arts, Goku relays the same thing he told Gohan about how Grade 3 sacrifices speed for power, whilst also demonstrating a form to Caulifla that utilizes the best of both worlds, Super Saiyan 2. When I said earlier there's a moment worse than the back tingles, this is what I'm referring to. Caulifla mentions she's tapped into this form before, which confuses Goku, and inquires if Super Saiyan 2's also unlocked by the tingly feeling in her spine. For context, Caulifla first achieved it when Kale went on a rampage during their training, specifically when she somehow transformed again from 1 to flick a blast away. There's so much wrong about this scene here. First off, it downplays a key aspect of the Cell Saga being to surpass the Super Saiyan wall. All the Saiyans spent a year in that chamber trying to figure out the best approach, and even then Vegeta and Trunks couldn't optimize it properly. So you're telling me that I'm supposed to believe a person that didn't know Super Saiyan existed can magically surpass it in a matter of minutes? And furthermore, 16 died for this. If it was that easy, you'd think Goten and Trunks would have reached it by now given their absurd hybrid potential. To summarize my point, I'm not too upset about the back tingles, as Universe 6 Saiyans are fundamentally different to Universe 7. I'm baffled Caulifla accidentally went from base to Super Saiyan 2 in the same hour. No one can argue its absurdity. Anywho, using Goku as a guide, the Universe 6 Saiyan powers up and bam, in a blink of an eye she's reached Super Saiyan 2 again. Amazing Caulifla, Goku reveals there's a form beyond it, aka Super Saiyan 3, but advises her to not get too carried away by mastering 2 first. Afterwards, the pair proceed their mini scuffle consisting of several exchanged blows, a couple vanishing wars, and it looks as if they're dead even until you remember Goku's melee training her, as emphasized by how he casually knocks his opponent out of range, following up with sheer leather boots to assert dominance. Concerned about her friend, Kale's ready to transform for the numbers advantage, however Caulifla's happy to continue with round 2 alone, running over to Goku to get her Saiyan blood pumping. As the pair enjoy life to its fullest, Kale watches over feeling a bit left out, and to make it all about her, she fires a pathetic excuse of a keyball at our hero over here trying to be somewhat useful. Honestly, that seemed it did negative damage since Goku politely asked for her to not interfere in their battle, leaving Kale isolated as ever, to which she questions if she's being a nuisance now to Caulifla. Nah, that's hilarious. She didn't bother to utter a single word, just turned the other direction pretending she don't know Kale. However, the only one that has to suffer is not Caulifla but Goku of all people for doing literally nothing wrong.
Alright, so let's kill him.
Eventually, Kale gets so mad she becomes her berserk form targeting solely Goku, and the only purpose of this fight is to simply pay homage to how Z Broly annihilated the Z fighters. My only gripe with this scene is that Goku felt the need to go blue for some reason, having his Kamehameha walked through. No clue why he couldn't just stay in his previous form to be more movie accurate. If anything, it kinda devolves the Super Anime's already inconsistent power scaling. Thankfully, her rampage is stopped by Jiren with one small ki blast, choosing to pose like a true Power Ranger in front of an explosion, and when Kale wakes up, she has no recollection of her actions as a berserker. Goku also makes his Ninja Turtle-esque entrance by creating his own manhole, to which Kale's first instinct is to cower behind her friend, whispering she really doesn't like that man. I know she doesn't remember what happened, but our hero deserves a dissertation of an apology for getting ragdolled undeservedly. Even then, he's concerned enough to ask if she's doing okay, emphasizing his kind-hearted nature. Suddenly, 5 of the Pride Troopers rock up to put down the Saiyan trio, where Goku advises the sisters to flee the scene. However, Caulifla mistook it for downright pity, boosting Kale's confidence by exclaiming she's not a delicate daisy that needs protection, but a fully fledged Saiyan warrior proud to call her a sworn sister. This had Kale blushing, instilled with an air of new belief, and I'm thinking, oh, she's gonna act like her manga variant now, cold and calm in her demeanor. Surely she'll have time to shine by knocking at least one person out. People love making what-ifs about getting betrayed and trapped in a chamber, but that's literally what happened to Kale thanks to the dimension warping powers of Universe 11's Cocotte. With one Saiyan out the picture, Caulifla's now ripe for the picking, bombarded with a makeshift Hellzone grenade by a second Pride Trooper, and just to confirm they'll get 2 Elims in the bag, Casserole orders Cocotte to create another pocket dimension solely for them and the Universe 6 Saiyans. Unlike a domain, the barrier is impenetrable to attacks from the outside, and not even Goku can enter with instant transmission since he can't sense the ki of anyone in another dimension. No more interruptions mean they can get to work peppering Caulifla with more ki balls. However, she stands resolute between the troopers and Kale, promising they won't lay a finger on her, as Caulifla feels it's her responsibility to do so for a dear sworn sister. The Universe 6 Saiyan begins mashing into the 11th tornado to no avail, flung back in the process, and that that's when Kale floods with tears down her face, angry she's trapped in this sphere, angry she does nothing but trouble Caulifla, and most of all, angry at herself for the way she is as an unreliable, helpless person before roaring to life, enveloped in a golden glow which destroys the natural disaster. This key also shatters the pocket dimension, and inside it emerges Kale, now as a Super Saiyan, controlled this time. As much as I've bashed Kale this vid, I've got no complaints with how she transformed. It kinda parallels with how Gohan achieved the form. Both relied on their loved ones to bail them out of trouble, and both hated themselves for being such burdens to the very people around them. Her method did follow Goku's motto after all, that power comes from a need, not a desire. Also, I really like Super Saiyan Kale's design, from having proper built muscles straight from the Saiyans of Z to the red and green colour palette which suits her nicely. We'll just ignore she does a whole Michael Jackson after transforming, okay? Anywho, Casserole commits the cardinal sin of assuming all that's changed is Kale's hair colour, and once that happens, the Saiyan pair shoot a joint beam at the Pride Troopers where Caulifla tells her to unleash that latent power. With this encouragement, Kale's muscles grow even larger, becoming her berserk form mid-beam clash, and this allows the sisters to overpower them with their Twister Ice Lolly of a Ki wave, eliminating the troopers from the tournament. With that out the way, I can finally discuss Goku's second fight with the Universe 6 Saiyans. In an interesting moment of Caulifla's, she deems it her fault for allowing Hit and Kaba to be knocked out, begging for Goku to teach her Super Saiyan 3 so that the 6th has a fighting chance against Erasure. Why I like this bit is because it really contrasts with what she said at the start of the tournament about her main goal being to prove she's the strongest. This mindset shift is her realization of the Battle Royale's true nature, not the tournament of power but the universal survival saga. Hearing her desperation, Goku agrees to teach her, remaining in his base form as he's still tuckered out from Jiren, and so once again their battle begins with Caulifla rushing in with her Neanderthal methods, actually keeping Goku on the defensive. As Universe 6's Saiyan readies a blow with her knee, Goku elegantly flips over her head, tumbling the opponent into a rock face, but I'm wondering who she's reaching her hand out for. Caulifla's looking like it's her first day at the construction site. Our hero remarks Super Saiyan 3 will be a pipe dream if she's gonna fight that sloppily, which baits Caulifla into engaging with a flurry of mistimed punches. So Goku's sick and tired of her performance, seizing the leg to spin her in Beyblade fashion which repels the Saiyan away. However, Caulifla isn't phased in the slightest, evading the stomach punch before twisting her body 180 to slam Goku's vitals, and ends her mini combo by pushing our hero back. This is where martial artists reign supreme over mere brawlers. Goku pulls out his next trick, the after image, exactly how he did the tambourine. Caulifla lunges in for one of them, guessing wrong so that the real Goku can sneak up on her with a kick to the noggin, and as a result she adapts to the move upon its second activation by reading his stealth attack with a fist grab. Eventually her adaptation's enough to counter Goku with some blows of her own, meaning our hero has no choice but to use up some energy for ascending to Super Saiyan 2. Even though they're in the same form, Goku's punches have way more oomph behind them, so in reply Caulifla throws out her crush cannon, landing a direct hit to leave a massive dust cloud, or so it would seem, because Goku guarded the key balls at the very last second. Surprise, Caulifla has built her own signature move. Most of this phase of their fight spirals into a mash contest, like literally the pair are scrapping like the only command they know is 1A. To be fair, I've got to give credit to Caulifla for holding her own. When Goku dishes out the same kick as when they first fought, she recovers instantly, charging back in head on, and her battle IQ's like Goku's, where she aims a crush cannon at his face to scare him, which simply acted as bait for her next punch. To challenge himself further, Goku invites Kale in on the action, making it a 2v1, and as the sisters rush straight for him, he begins sliding across the cobble to ward them off with key spam. The pair then hop over to opposite rocks, catching Goku lacking, where Caulifla trips him up and Kale raised his guard before a massive push across the arena. Following this, Kale leaves Goku's sight, enabling her friend to dish out a crush cannon, and to fully ensure it was gonna land, the other Saiyan kicks him in the spinal cord, forced to eat up the whole attack. They don't stop there, launching their long range moves together now, and acknowledging the pressure's too great for him. Goku screams as loud as possible, causing the balls to disintegrate on impact, and once the dust clears, he reveals the form that the sisters have been striving for this whole arc, Super Saiyan 3. Our hero thanks their teamwork for drawing out power he never knew he had, which leaves Kale and Caulifla utterly starstruck, but unfortunately Goku must revert back to 2 since he hasn't got the energy levels to maintain the Rapunzel-haired form. Kale heard the lungs on that man and thought, I can do better, releasing a key as far as she can go to break her limits. Rocks are then being boxed by Goku, and for the 3rd time this tournament, Kale unleashes the berserk form to prove herself worthy in Caulifla's eyes. This transformation entrance gave me goosebumps. Look how frightening she is behind the smoke. Caulifla sings her praises for taming that berserk form, going for a high five. However, it turns out Kale still isn't fully in control, nearly eliminating her sworn sister. In that moment, Caulifla realizes the downside of this powerful form is losing yourself in it, but thanks Kale anyway for paying that price to save their universe. She continues, saying that the only person she'd ever want to fight alongside is her precious friend, which causes Kale to cry, and once Caulifla gets her head in the game, the berserk Saiyan regains her pupils before transforming again, now truly controlling her strength with hair greener than ever. The one thing I'll give anime Kale is she actually develops as a character, knowing she's worthy to be Caulifla's equal, unlike her manga counterpart who feels more like a device to speed run the tournament. Anyway, I can't lie, Goku was getting done in by the power of teamwork. He couldn't decide which Saiyan sister to focus on, but as Caulifla soars in like a bullet bill, our hero thought up a chance to keep the pair separated by borrowing a move of Tien's, the solar flare, to blind the Universe 6 Saiyan who crashes into a mountain. This lost Kale's cool, angry how her opponent's playing dirty, so Goku counters by shooting some ki from his shoes to keep the pressure off. Kale's advised by her sister to not get too reeled in, sticking together to win, but just then Caulifla notices the Emperor's appeared, discovering he's the tyrant who knocked out Cabba. Frieza thanks his teammate for bringing in 2 other monkeys to satisfy his racist tendencies, and Caulifla was gonna blow him away with a crush cannon in the name of Cabba. However, Goku interrupts the death ball, exclaiming he called dibs first. I know Frieza destroyed the 6 Saiyans in the manga, but how entertaining would have it been if he also got the chance to humble them both in 4K 60 FPS? I do wish he intervened, cause at this point I couldn't stand the amount of times the sisters kept saying,
We're the toughest force in the cosmos! We're the toughest force in the cosmos! The toughest force in the cosmos is gonna get even tougher!
It's to boost their confidence, I know, but remember, Jiren's meditating just a few meters away. Sorry, but chanting that same phrase over the span of a single episode is not gonna save you. Anywho, Caulifla's next ploy was to fire ki blasts at the ground specifically, where Goku already knows they're trying a smokescreen now, but even though he sensed Kale's whereabouts, it was in fact all according to plan to immobilize him, allowing for Caulifla to jump in with a kick and a punch to a defenseless target. Goku uses his only free hand to attempt blocking her, but as she winds up her boot, our hero times the duck whilst also flipping over to release himself from Kale's clutches. However, as he's about to dip with instant transmission, Caulifla clocks exactly what his goal is. And I don't know how she did this, but the Saiyan fires her cannon at a different direction, predicting the very area Goku was gonna teleport to. Ready to finish this, our hero revs up to Super Saiyan god, and no joke. Kale's response was to say no matter what colour his hair turns, it still won't save him. I don't need to explain the hypocrisy of a Saiyan to say this, as I've already done so in one of my shorts. Even Caulifla was shocked her sister committed such a heinous crime. Anywho, Goku begins gunning down the sisters with his fingers, where both sprint towards each side of him to get the upper hand. However, our hero hits an exquisite... It's funny how Goku saw Caulifla as nothing more than a nuisance, concentrating on the stronger of the two Saiyans, Kale, but the weaker one played her role as a fly perfectly, distracting him enough for the other sister to fire off her green key wave bullseye. Thankfully, our hero got his revenge from way earlier, diving through Kale's attack like it's a Tuesday, so the sisters finally prepare their signature moves, pitting Goku from both angles. He responds in kind by delivering two balls shared between the pair, where Kale tanks it head on, straining herself to resist the divine key, but I've got to give props for eventually flinging the ball to the sky, showing Kale can hang with God Goku. On the other hand, Caulifla opts to evade the ball instead, hopping on several rocks as a means of escape. However, she simply delayed the inevitable, receiving a direct hit from Goku's attack. That was practically wraps for her, literally paralysed from head to toe. And from here, it leads to the sisters fusing with Potara, but we all know how that ended, with arguably the best Kamehameha in the franchise. The last bit of cover is when all the universes are brought back. The sisters reunite, glad they're still alive, and when Kappa tears up, assuming Vegeta kept his promise, he's startled by Caulifla, who begs him to train with them so they can reach Super Saiyan 3 together, showing he's got her respect. Overall, I don't think Caulifla's a bad character, because over the tournament she's become a bit more humble, understood the power of teamwork thanks to a strengthened bond with Kale, and feels more like a proactive person compared to how lazy she was as a gang leader. It really is just the back tingles and spontaneous power-ups that let her down. In contrast, another character in the same arc I'm not as fond with must be Ribrianne, so please click here if you're interested.